is a professor for law. She is Nebo Graham Douglas Distinguished Professor of Law for NIALS, Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. But most importantly, she's our president. Welcome, Professor Yinka Omorogbe, FNAEE, as she takes her address at this year's event. Yes, I'll do that. Kevin, can we turn this thing back to face president, please? The screen to face president. That one comes in here. See what I was begging you people since. I want to make sure it's remove that. Ah. I said it, right? I did.
Wow.
Just continue, don't worry.
Sorry for the noise and the, I don't know. It's one of those things. Please, can we put very, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my deep honor to be, and great pleasure to stand before you, to welcome you to the 15th annual conference. I will stand on the existing protocols, as we say, that have been really laid down by our MC of many years and doyen in the energy space. He knows everybody, everything. So I stand on his protocol, even as I welcome you all to this conference that's holding once more in the lovely premises of the PTDF, which has been continuously hosting us for several years. As usual, we convey our profound gratitude to the Executive Secretary, and we know that his team present here will definitely tell him, thank you very much, PTDF, for your continued support and generosity. Yes, please, let's clap. And this is clearly evidence of the PTDF's dedication to its mandate of increasing knowledge in this area, and knowing that informed scholarly discourses are essential for the growth of a viable energy sector. The screen is moving on by itself, or there is somebody that's assuming that I have spoken. Please, I'll tell you when to turn. I'll tell you exactly when to turn. So thank you very much, everybody. Our distinguished chairman, our very, very distinguished Mr. Osagi Okumbo from the chair of the Shell companies in Nigeria. We thank you very, very much for being present here. We thank our keynote speaker, who will shortly be speaking, but speaking to us online, Mr. N.J. Ayuk. We thank all the different persons here from all walks of life. We thank the chief executives. We thank their very, very able representatives here for being present. I will single out, for gender reasons, my sister, Zainab Gobir. But even as I appreciate all the rest of you, I know you all very well. Thank you so much. So, can we go on to the slide, please? Now, I am talking just for a little while. We have a 2022 conference theme, which is on, can you go back to the earlier slide, please? We have a conference theme which is on energy transition and climate change policy, optimal pathways to sustainable development in Nigeria. We have a stellar cast. We have seasoned, very experienced persons talking. I have got very, very strong opinions in some of these areas, but I'm not to give the opinions at all. That is not my job. We're going to prefer solutions. We're going to suggest different things as regards the optimal energy mix for Africa that will propel us into the development that we truly need and deserve. But my task is to stimulate the conversations just a little bit as I welcome you all warmly. And so I'm going to tell you a story. Next slide, please. And I'm telling a story of what happened in 2021. Do we know that Times Square, New York, uses 161 megawatts every year. This is enough energy to power the whole of Nigeria. Just Times Square, that's it. Lights on all the time, beautiful place. Lovely, lovely. Now, they had a bit of an energy crisis in America at a point. And in 2021, Mayor Bill de Blasio at the time told New Yorkers to limit their household energy use. He told them to limit it. At a press conference, he spoke. He told them, he advised people to turn off air conditioning units despite temperatures above 34 degrees centigrade. You know that's our normal temperature in Nigeria. Don't use your washing machines. Don't use dryers. He said, we're now experiencing a heat emergency. We need people to take immediate action. We have a real challenge on our hands. So here's the message to all New Yorkers. Immediately reduce the use of electricity in your homes or in businesses. This is serious stuff. Responses. Next slide, please. Good. Some responses, different ones. Not New York City sending me an emergency alert telling me to turn off my AC when Times Square is lit up like this. Turn off all these big, I don't know if I can call that word in Nigeria, big A billboards off in Times Square before you ask me not to make a hot pocket. Damn you if you think we're supposed to be conserving energy in NYSC if they could turn off some F ads in Times Square instead of my air conditioner in a heat wave. So that was their issue. Now, look, these are just some things. Americans, they use 4 times as much energy as needed to have a good and healthy life. And for those who get my presentation, I have the embedded link there so you will see. So you have a magic number that has been given from studies as to what you need to live a good and healthy life. And this is 75 gigajoules a year. And I changed it into, 25 megawatts a year, that's per person. Americans are using 284, that's plenty, nearly 4 times as much. Now, let's look at our country, Nigeria, with 200 million people. Look at how many people. We have a total installed capacity of 13,000 megawatts. Only 632.4 people can have good and healthy lives on the energy that we give. So this is not even hopelessly deficient. English word, a new English word, has to be invented to describe the deficiency for 200 million people when you see this. And so, it's a huge, huge issue. Next one, please. And again, the other studies, that embedded link will tell you more. 9 benchmarks for a long and healthy life. Number 1 is access to electricity. None of us have it, We don't know whether this is a Abuja distribution or it is a generator, one of the generators in this building now. Number 1 is access to electricity because it's on that development is hinged. Then air quality, food supply, wealth inequality, infant mortality, life expectancy, prosperity, sanitation. I was tempted to put checklists to say tick yes, tick cross, but I said, let me leave it. How do we fare? Let's just, think about that. That's a big issue. Now, that's from our point of view, but you can see how the West reacts when they have one paltry, insignificant problem that we would not even recognize in Nigeria, and that's what they're calling their energy situation. You now look and say, when we're talking about energy inequity and we're talking about what to use and the energy mix, you have to ask, how does the developing world feel when the Western oil and coal guzzling economies tell energy deficient countries to reduce their use of the world's most efficient development enabler? You have to ask this question. Is this climate equity? You can see we're dealing with very, very difficult issues. Does the North understand the issues of the global South? I mean, these are pictures they cannot contemplate at all that I'm showing. I'm showing the energy source of the poor and of the average Nigerian and of 50% of our people there. And there you have heat pollution, air pollution, underdevelopment showing in these pictures. So that's a far cry from Times Square. And you know, some of these things have to be discussed, because I have American friends that are going through the climate diseases. You know, there are actually some recognized diseases that have come up now, anxiety, etc., that are mentally related to the climate change issue. But many of them don't see these things. And what I often tell them is, look at the lights in Times Square. Look at the lights that we see all around effortlessly that are burning. You may care a lot, but there's a lot of waste in your hemisphere. And these are things we really need to look at. Now, this was something that was recognized, has been recognized generally, but was very much recognized by His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo, who Nigeria lost very suddenly and unexpectedly and in a very, very shocking way just a short while ago. And I'm going to talk, I'm just going to give one or two quotes from him, but at this point, please, I would ask us just please to remember him and to very respectfully stand for a moment of silence in memory of this great Nigerian who played a very, very pivotal role and would have continued to play a pivotal role in global affairs. May the soul of Dr. Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo rest in perfect peace. Amen. So, Dr. Barkindo, just last year, they had the launch of the World Oil Outlook 2021, and I remember he actually sent me the link for it, so I watched it online there, and then I read it, and I've had to quote it. And he spoke, and he said that, you know, any talk of the oil and gas industries being consigned to the past, because the energy mix issue is about throwing out oil and gas completely. And he said any talk of the oil and gas industries being consigned to the past and of the need to halt new investments in oil and gas is wrong-headed, which is not diplomatic language, but is true. If the necessary investments are not made, it could have knock-on implications as viewed in current gas developments in Europe and elsewhere around the world, leaving long-term scars, not only for producers, but consumers too. Furthermore, according to MS Barkindo, he said the energy transition should not be about picking one energy over another. It needs to be driven by science, industry facts, and hard data. As I mentioned earlier, this means embracing all energies and keeping our sights on both energy security and reducing emissions. And in his last speech, which was incidentally on the same day that he passed away at the NOG 2022, which again was a fitting place for him to give his last speech in so many ways because of his link to that program. He said, with regard to demand, there's only one direction, and that is up. OPEC projects that total primary energy demand will expand by a robust 28% in the period to 2045. Oil is expected to retain the largest share of the energy mix, according to just over a 28% in 2045, followed by gas at around 24%. So together, oil and gas together will continue to supply more than half of the world's energy needs for many decades. So we have an energy mix, but oil is definitely still there. So what do we need to do? What do the 54 countries of Africa need to do, faced with the need to grow in this time and season? Is there a common meeting ground? Are there common meeting grounds? Is there a common pathway, or are there pathways? And you will not believe how long we spent in the association arguing over whether it should be pathway or pathways. Then recent times have shown that national interest still out-trumps climate issues in every nation in the world. Let's just look at the climate change giants that are running back into coal, not even coal, That's where they're going to, while they're preaching something else. But we need to realize climate change is a reality, and tomorrow our children will live with the consequences of the actions that we have taken today. We need to remember that. I am very, very much for things that will push the climate forward. We just need to understand the nuances. Renewables are probably the primary hope of the 50% of Nigerians, and they present great potential because they are the ones that are going to go to the various off-grid communities in Nigeria and other African countries. Grid expansion is a remote impossibility, and in fact, the way the Nigerian grid is now, it's very possible that some of those communities might say, we don't even want the grid, it's not helping us. So definitely we need decisive action to provide access to clean energy for those presently living without it. And energy access should be just, it should be inclusive, and it should be equitable, with nobody left behind. Like I've said, we have a stellar mix of people. We have really great persons speaking in the plenaries and in the concurrent sessions. The various papers and plenaries will help us to provide directions and answers to these and other knotty questions around energy access, and I'm sure we shall have a great conference, and many of these issues will be discussed and interrogated further. So I know they won't be like me, throwing out questions which I don't answer and making comments that I don't delve into. So thank you very, very much, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Students, I forgot to thank you particularly for coming. Thank you. Members of the press, thank you so, so much. We appreciate you all.